This is a 20-volt battery-powered drill. I was sent this to review for free. If you wanted to purchase it, it would cost you about $80. They haven't paid me for my review, and my opinions remain my own. Alright, so in the box, you get the drill itself, a battery charger, and 2 batteries, plus some accessories. Alright, so we have a drill. It comes with 2 batteries that fit the drill, and a battery charger that has a US 110 volt plug, along with some screwdrivers. They call these impact drivers, although I don't know if the drill actually does any impacting. So I think they're basically just a screwdriver set. And then we have here, it looks like a diamond burr grinding wheel. These are both 6 millimeters, so I think it's just 2 of the same thing in separate packages. And then here we have a drill bit set. So these are metric. They go from 1.5 to 6.5. It says it's high-speed steel, or HSS drills. So it's a lightweight plastic case. This whole thing folds up. So the complete set of drills. These here are all Phillips bits, it looks like. I don't see any standard flathead bits. Yeah, so we have a large number of Phillips bits here of various lengths. There's Phillips 2. All right, so we have 10 Phillips 2 screwdriver bits here. We have 2 sets of short, 50, 65, and 70, and then 1 each of 90 and 150. They come with a little kind of hex holding rubberized plastic thing here to store all these guys. The bases of these have a slight magnetic attachment, so I think they're slightly magnetized. Alright, so anytime you turn on the drill, this light here shines up towards your work. I like that. Alright, didn't come with a manual. Here's what I figured out about the light. So when you pull the trigger, it can be in one of 2 modes. Either the light is always off mode, in which case it stays off, or if you tap this, it'll move to the light is on when the trigger is pulled mode. But when you do that, the light just turns on, and you have to wait a while for it to turn off. So when the light's off, you pull the trigger, and it stays on for a while. If you wait a while, it'll turn off. That light's pretty bright. It's bright enough for most uses, I think, but it's not as bright as it can get because it has another mode, which is the always-on bright light. And so the single click jumps between off mode and kind of triggered by the drill mode. A double click will go into flashlight mode, or, you know, it's a little bit brighter. It always stays on. It may turn off automatically after some amount of time. I've waited 10 minutes and it's still on. So it stays on for at least 10 minutes, and maybe it just stays on until you turn it off. If you double click, you'll go down to single, the middle dot, which is basically triggered by the drill mode. And then if you do a single click from there, you can get it off. So that's what I've figured out about the light modes. So here's kind of a dimly lit hallway, and you can see that's the drill triggered light mode. It puts out plenty of light to see what you're working on. And this is the always on flashlight mode. It is a little bit brighter. It's not like twice as bright, but it is a little bit brighter. Alright, notably, the drill does not come with any type of manual or instructions. It's pretty simple to figure out if you've ever used one of these before. There's the low speed and then the high speed. So you have 1 and 2. And then here's the clutch. So if the clutch is really low, it basically won't even turn against any resistance. And then if you put the clutch all the way up to the drill setting, it will turn within your fingers. There's the forward and reverse switch. So basically you can lock it in the center position. You go like that, it's forward. You flip it all the way this way, it's reverse. Now the listing said this would come with a tool storage bag, but I haven't found one of those in the box. So it says brushless on the drill, and it does have a pretty good set of speed control there, so the speed control works pretty well. I don't see any sparking, I don't smell any ozone, so I do believe it is brushless. So the side of the drill here says 20 volts, 0 to 500 RPM / 2100 RPM. So basically the first half of your trigger pull goes from really slow to kind of fast, and when you hit the second half, it kind of just jumps up to full speed. And I think if you turn it to the number 2 setting here, the gearbox is going to be making it twice as fast. Alright, initial impressions. It's not overly heavy for the size. It feels pretty dense though. It's nice and compact and small. I could see this getting into places where bigger drills couldn't. It feels like it should take a beating. The plastic feels really heavy duty, has some heft and weight to it. Let's go try drilling some holes and screwing screws in with it. All right, let's see how it does with a deck screw. Well, that just kind of went all the way through that board. So yeah, I think it has enough torque for me. This screw is hot to the touch. You can see how it got all silvery there as you kind of rub the coating off parts of it. All right, I'm going to try that same screw with my 10, 12-year-old 18-volt Porter cable, which is, I believe, a brushed drill. Helps if I set the clutch all the way up. So pretty much equivalent torque. This guy's a little slower though. I've set this to the number 2 setting for drilling. That goes in pretty darn well. Alright, comparing that to my Porter cable. I'd say this guy felt like it had a little more torque. It definitely had a little more speed. Alright, so comparing this guy to my Porter cable, obviously there's a size difference. It's a lot shorter and stubbier. Weight-wise, it feels about the same weight all in all, even though it looks a lot smaller. It might be that this is slightly heavier, but they're both heavy enough that, you can see it all. So size-wise here, width is about the same, but depth or length of it is definitely shorter. And that works pretty well. The only thing about this is the clutch wheel. Perfectly usable, but your finger kind of hits the trigger guard, and so you can't just roll it all the way around. You kind of have to work it without you're always hitting that trigger guard. So it's perfectly usable to adjust and move around, but I prefer the Porter cable one because it's out away from the trigger guard. I can turn it like that all I want, but the trade-off, of course, is that this guy can fit in a lot of spaces that other longer drill couldn't. So you have this trade-off of, that thing's in there. Now this guy here, I like that, the knurled metal. It's easy to use. It's certainly big enough to adjust. So I'm pretty darn happy with the chuck release there. So the batteries just have a little push button there. When you push the button, it lights up, tells you how many green dots you have out of 4. So built-in battery gauge. All right, so I've put this guy through its paces. I like it. It has the light. That's a nice feature. Most drills come with that nowadays, but if you didn't have it, you'd certainly miss it. Pretty small, compact, has plenty of power and speed. The accessories that come with it, they're fine. It drilled, it worked. I don't think these are, like the highest quality drill bits you're ever going to find, but they're perfectly serviceable. The drivers worked fine. It's nice having some different lengths there. I'm not going to be drilling in a tile anytime soon, but if you were, it'd be kind of nice to have them there. kind of, you know, it has 2 batteries, so you can always keep one on the charger, so you're always ready to go. So that's, you know, a nice setup there. Price, pretty reasonable for what you're getting, I think. Downside is, obviously, it's not compatible with any other battery systems. So if you already have a battery system and things, you're going to be adding another charger and another set of batteries you have to keep track of. Perfectly acceptable as, you know, first drill. If you just need a drill driver for around the house use, you know, it comes with some drill bits, it comes with some screwdrivers. It does not have a straight flathead driver, which seems like a big miss there. It seems like they should have included at least one flathead bit. But if you need Phillips bits, there's plenty of Phillips bits. So I can't speak about the longevity. You know, I've drilled 1 or 2 holes, put a couple screws in, plenty of torque, plenty of power. Only time will tell about the longevity. It is brushless, so there is the danger that maybe the driver circuit or the motor is going to have a problem. You know, because it's a little more complicated than just a brushed motor. But from everything I've seen, just, you know, initial unboxing, it seems pretty solid. Now in this review, I'm specifically not evaluating, are these actually 2 amp-hour batteries and how long can you run the drill before they run down. They have 2 batteries. The batteries came essentially fully charged according to the little light meters from the factory. And because you have a charger and 2 batteries, you can always have a charged battery ready to go. You know, so you run one battery down, just swap batteries, you're ready to go. Obviously, if you're doing an 8-hour day, putting deck screws in all day, you might not be able to charge this battery fast enough to keep up with the one that you're using. But I don't think that's the use case for this drill. This drill is really a, hey, grab it when you need it, put it back when you don't. Always have an extra battery charge. So I don't think the actual life of these batteries matters too much. When you plug in the battery charger, you get a green light that says, hey, I have power. When you plug a battery into it, you have a red light that says, hey, I'm charging the battery. Once it gets done, it flips over to green. Downside here I see is that if you're looking at it from up top, you can't really see that light. You have to kind of look at it from the front. So if you have this mounted on a shelf up high, it's no big deal. If it's down low, you kind of have to crane your head to look and see, is that battery charged or not. So just sitting idle, the charger has a 1.0 power factor, and it has basically no vampiric load. My sensor can't even detect, you know, a 1-watt draw. So when it's not charging a battery, you can leave it plugged in and not have to worry about how much power it's taking up. Now there's no keyholes or screw mounting points here, so you're pretty much limited to desktop mounting this unless you rig up something to hold it on a wall.